Hi guys, this is part 2 of ncert reading life processes class 10th. In today's video, we will be reading nutrition. When we walk or ride a bicycle, we are using up energy. Even when we are not doing any apparent activity, energy is needed to maintain a state of order in our body. We also need materials from outside in order to grow, develop, synthesize protein and other substances needed in the body. This source of energy and materials is the food we eat. How do living things get their food? The general requirement for energy and materials is common in all organisms, but it is fulfilled in different ways. Some organisms use simple food material obtained from inorganic sources in the form of carbon dioxide and water. These organisms, the autotrophs, include green plants and some bacteria. Some other organisms utilize complex substances. These complex substances have to be broken down into simpler ones before they can be used for the upkeep and growth of the body. To achieve this, organisms use biocatalysts called enzymes. Thus, the heterotroph's survival depends directly or indirectly on autotrophs. Autotrophic organisms include animals and fungi. Autotrophic nutrition. Carbon and energy requirements of the autotrophic organisms are fulfilled by the photosynthesis. It is the process by which autotrophs take in substances from the outside and convert them into stored forms of energy. This material is taken in the form of carbon dioxide and water, which is converted into carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Carbohydrates are utilized for providing energy to the plant. We will study how this takes place in the next session. The carbohydrates which are not used immediately are stored in the form of starch, which serves as the internal energy reserve to be used as when required by the plant. A somewhat similar situation is seen in us, where some of the energy derived from the food we eat is stored in the form of glycogen. So here we have the reaction of photosynthesis, which is 6 CO2 plus 12 H2O reacts in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to give C6H12O6 plus CO6O2 plus H2O. So carbon dioxide and water react in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to give glucose, oxygen and water. Let us now see what actually happens during the process of photosynthesis. The following events occur during this process: absorption of light energy by chlorophyll, then conversion of light energy to chemical energy and splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and carbon, reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. These steps need not take place one after the other immediately. For example, desert plants take up carbon dioxide at night and prepare an intermediate which is acted upon by the energy absorbed by the chlorophyll during the day. Let us see how each of the components of the above reaction are necessary for photosynthesis. If you carefully observe a cross section of a leaf under the microscope, you will notice that some cells contain green dots. These green dots are cell organelles called chloroplasts, which contain chlorophyll. That chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. Now let us study how the plant obtains carbon dioxide. In class 9th we had talked about stomata, which are tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. Massive movements of gases takes place in the leaves through these pores. for the purpose of photosynthesis. But it is important to note here that exchange of gases occurs across the surface of stems, roots, and leaves as well, since large amounts of water can also be lost through the stomata. The plant closes these pores, which it does not need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. The opening and closing of the pore is a function of the guard cell. The guard cells swell when water flows into them, causing the stomatal pore to open. Similar, the pore closes if the guard cells shrink. Based on the two activities performed above, can we design an experiment to demonstrate that sunlight is essential for photosynthesis? So far, we have talked about how autotrophs meet their energy requirements, but they also need other raw materials for building their body. Water used in photosynthesis is taken up from the soil by the root in terrestrial plants. Other materials like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and magnesium are taken up from the soil. Nitrogen is an essential element used in the synthesis of proteins and other compounds. This is taken up in the form of inorganic nitrates or nitrites, or it is taken up as organic compounds which has been prepared by bacteria from atmospheric nitrogen. Next is heterotrophic nutrition. Each organism is adapted to its environment. The form of nutrition differs depending on the type of availability of food as well as how it is obtained by the organism. For example, whether the food source is stationary such as grass or mobile such as deer would would allow for differences in how the food is accessed and what is the nutritive apparatus used by a cow and lion. There is a range of strategies by which the food is taken in and used by the organism. Some organisms break down the food material outside the body and then absorb it. Example are fungi like bread molds, yeast, and mushrooms. Others take in whole material and break it down inside their bodies. What can be taken in and broken down depends on the body design and functioning. Some other organisms derive nutrition from plants or animals without killing them. This parasitic nutritive strategy is used by a wide variety of organisms like cuscuta, amarbale, ticks, lice, leeches, and tapeworms. How do organisms obtain their food? Since the food and the way it is obtained differ, the digestive system is different in various organisms. In single celled organisms, the food may be taken in by the entire surface, but as the complexity of the organism increases, different parts become specialized to perform different functions. For example, amoeba takes in food using temporary finger-like extensions of the cell surface which fuse over the food particle, forming a food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, complex substances are broken down into simpler ones which then diffuse into the cytoplasm. The remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. In paramecium, which is also unicellular organism, the cell has a definite shape and the food is taken into a specific spot. Food is moved to this spot by the movement of cilia which cover the entire surface of the cell. In next video we will be looking through nutrition in human beings. That's it all for today, and bye guys, thank you.